The most powerful stories come from the ones we see every day. Not every journey is loud. Some are quiet, raw, and still changing lives. This is Unformed, where real stories unfold. Hello, this is Hiba, and welcome to this episode of Unformed. My guest today is Patrick Bejjani, the founder and executive director of Inspire Fitness Academy. He holds a master's degree in exercise science with a specific focus on women's health and fitness across different life stages, like training during pregnancy, pre- and postnatal, and menopause. I'm really happy to have him on the podcast today because we dive deep into a conversation that honestly doesn't get talked about enough, like how under-researched women are in the fitness science and how that affects the way we train. We also debunk a lot of myths around fat loss, strength training, hormones, and talk about how women can start training in a way that works with their bodies, not against them. Thank you for tuning in, and I'm sure you'll enjoy this one. Patrick Bejjani, thank you so much for coming today. I'm very happy to have you with me.
Thank you, Hiba, for having me today.
Patrick, when I first started my fitness journey, I gained like 10 kilos in a matter of few years for different reasons. I was suffering from depression at some point and all that. And I remember that everyone around me was giving me recommendations of different things that I need to do. Some people told me you need to go on keto diet. Some people told me, no, that's too much protein. You shouldn't be having this much protein. Others were telling me I need to focus only on cardio. Others told me don't lift weight because it would make you look bulky and it would make you look like a man. So everyone was giving different recommendations based on what they know. And when I tried to start researching about women in fitness and women in the fitness industry generally or health-wise, I discovered that a lot of the researches, they're based on male participants and very few are based on female participants. And it got me thinking that why, or there's a very big gap in the market to discuss fitness only specifically to female. And the female has a different physiology. They have different times through the month where they're not able to perform as men, or they need to shift their workouts accordingly. And I'm very happy to have you today because I have a lot of questions. I want to double check a lot of things that I would love to discuss with you as well. And given the fact that you have over 20 years of experience in the health and fitness industry, I'm very happy to sit and discuss all of those misconceptions with you today.
Thank you, Hiba, for having me. Absolutely, these are very important topics, and I think we will be discussing those from the research to the data to the female participation in research to the misconceptions that are out there to the fitness experts or who claim to be an expert and give advice to everyone.
Patrick, what got you first to focus on females in fitness industry or the female health specifically?
Sure. Well, it's a quite an old story. I was always inspired by my mom. Obviously, I come from a place where my mom got a little bit abused. So I felt like protecting and supporting women is my mission. So I've noticed how my mom managed to stay strong throughout the years, no matter what happened, and still take care of us and take care of everyone, but not take care of her body. And then I became a trainer, and I felt it's my job to support women to get a strong body, strong muscles, so they can defend themselves and protect themselves. And I've noticed throughout the years, so I started back in 2005, I've noticed that, first of all, women were resistant to getting stronger or lifting weights because, you know, the rumors out there or the misconception out there is that you will be bulky, you'll look like man, and this is more a man's sport. That's not a woman's place. So you need to do more things like cardio or classes or yoga. That's it. So that's one thing I wanted to change. And another thing is when it comes to special cases in the woman's journey. You see, Hiba, when you look at the woman's life journey and men's journey, they're quite different. So women start, it starts with period, menses, the cycle, pregnancy, menopause. There are lots of changes, physiological changes that happen, and they should be taken into consideration. And we should have a lot of awareness on that so women can continue being healthy, exercise, and get stronger. So I felt I have a mission towards helping and supporting women. And the more women I've trained, the more changes that happen to their lives. I felt like it's as if I'm helping my mom. It's as if I'm helping women get stronger. And that's something I became super passionate about. Until I started the exercise science degree and I was doing my master's, and I had to submit a master's thesis, and that was on women in resistance training and specifically on pregnancy and resistance training. If women can actually do resistance training during pregnancy, during the first, second, or third trimester.
That's a very hot topic, specifically in our societies, because, as you said, the woman goes through different stages in her life. And as a woman as well, I'm always told that at some point, I'm going through a traumatic experience, or like when women get pregnant, their body gets ruined, they call them, or it's not gonna get fixed again, or you're going through changes in your body. And I think a lot of the times this is something that is very it's a hot topic that nobody really discusses. It's like the elephant in the room. But a lot of the women, they don't want to get pregnant early on, or they don't want to get pregnant at all, because they're afraid of that step, that they feel that, okay, I'm ruining my body because my body is not going to come back as it was before. And especially if they are in the fitness industry, they feel that they're losing all their gains. And as a man, it's more linear as a life cycle.
Absolutely.
And as a woman, it's not. And at some point, you don't want to lose part of yourself as well if you get pregnant, or if your body change. To start, first things first, training for women. What should they do? Is it true that we should only be focusing on cardio first, especially if you have a high percentage of body fat? Because that's something I was told constantly, that if you have a high percentage of body fat, and you want to start working out, don't do resistance training or don't do weightlifting. You go for cardio first until your fat percentage goes lower, and then you start weightlifting. How does it? What is the science behind it, and what is the right way to work out?
It's funny, I've been in the fitness industry for 20 years, and we couldn't get rid of this misconception about cardio and fat loss. So the good thing is there are a bit more of awareness right now that fat loss is about caloric deficit primarily. So if I would give a general recommendation on fat loss, it's three things: caloric deficit, resistance training, improve your protein intake to maintain your muscles. Resistance training is not something that you should ever consider removing from your routine. Why? Because our machines were designed to handle resistance. That's how we're designed. We were designed to climb mountains, to walk hours and hours, and to handle challenges, lift rocks, hunt. And now we don't do that very often, or we don't do it anymore. So we need something to keep our body strong. Otherwise, disease, injuries, all of that is going to attack us. So resistance training is something that we have to do no matter what to maintain our muscles, to keep our muscles strong. Besides, if our target is losing weight, losing fat, or gaining muscles. For cardio, cardio is very important for the heart muscle. The name is cardio. So it's very important for health, for well-being. However, when it comes to fat loss, it's not about cardio, it's not about resistance training, it's about caloric deficit. It's about the calorie intake to be less than your caloric expenditure. This is when your body is going to realize, okay, I'm in a deficit. I'm going to start using my storage. Now, definitely, it sounds a little bit simplistic. There are a bit more nuances to that, such as the quality of food, having a bit more proteins, not treating any macro as it's your enemy, not carbs, not fat, having your micros, drinking enough water, and exercising. Exercising will help you like utilize a bit more calories and maintain the form and having strong muscles.
But it's more 80-20, so 80% nutrition, mainly 20 fitness.
Nutrition is important. I'm not gonna say that it's a specific percentage, but eventually, if you exercise all day long and still you're eating more than you should, your caloric intake is higher than your caloric expenditure, you're gonna end up increasing your body weight or putting on more fats probably. Now, the thing is here to understand is, I'm not saying stop doing cardio. No, you have to do cardio. Cardio is very important for the heart, for health, for well-being. It's very important to have aerobic endurance because it will help you in other sports and in resistance training indirectly. However, if you just rely on cardio for fat loss, and by the way, I'll tell you from where this misconception is coming from. Because when you're on a treadmill for an hour, and if you're trying to use the lab equipment to test if the body is using more fat calories or more calories coming from the carbs, yes, your body is using more fat calories, but that doesn't mean anything. Because at the moment, your body is using more fat calories. That's probably from the blood or fat storages. However, what happened throughout the day, throughout the week, is what matters. So if for that hour you've lost 70% of fat calories, the total calories were 200. However, your income was 400 extra calories, nothing changed. So that's why cardio is very important. Also, sometimes it might be demotivating for people to just rely on cardio. They just start doing cardio and they're waiting for the results and they've noticed that nothing is changing, nothing's happening. Because also the body is a bit smarter than how much we think it is. Sometimes if we keep on doing a lot of cardio, our metabolism might adapt. During the day, we might feel that we're tired, that we don't feel like moving, and this would decrease our NEAT, non-exercise activity thermogenesis, which is the amount of calories we use from activity that is not related to exercise. Fidgeting, moving. So this might decrease. So the total calorie expenditure might decrease as well.
And the metabolism is a very important topic that everyone talks about. And is it true that people are born with better metabolisms than others?
It might be. There might be some people that they have a higher expenditure, they have more muscle mass, their body is more efficient. That's natural. However, it's not the end of the world.
And can you fix that? Can you work towards having a higher metabolism? And how does this work?
Well, the thing is, if we just look at the metabolism or the basal metabolic rate, what is it exactly? So we look at the resting metabolic rate. If we want to calculate that, it's about our weight, our height. So if we have a heavier weight, we have more muscles, we might increase our expenditure a little bit. So we might increase it a little bit if we have a bit more muscle mass. However, how much change, like if that's going to make a huge change, it might not be fixed. It might change a little bit, but not that fixed. Now, if you be more muscular, you might increase your caloric expenditure a little bit. But however, still, we need to look at, to calculate the whole expenditure. So if you think of it, if I'm calculating my basal metabolic rate, so it's the weight and the height, the age, the more we age, it will reduce our expenditure. So it's minus the age. Weight multiplied by something, height multiplied by something, then you subtract the age multiplied by something. So you get the basal metabolic rate, or how much calories you need without even moving. So that's something that varies from one person to the other. If someone is taller, definitely they need more calories than someone is shorter. If someone have a higher body weight, whether because they have more fat cells or muscle cells, then they need more calories to feed these cells. So now if you increase your muscle mass, this might affect you. Height, there's nothing we can do. That's something that stops at a certain age. And age, there's nothing we can do. What we look at, the other factors, the factors such as the exercise and NEAT, non-exercise activity thermogenesis. So how much you move during your day? Do you fidget? Do you move a lot? Do you do your steps?
That's where the steps come in.
Exactly. And especially if I'm not counting the steps as a form of exercise, because sometimes people get the steps through cardio. So if the steps are something extra, so just moving during the day. And here there's something very important to highlight, that it's not about 10,000 steps. It's about the quality of your steps.
Very interesting. What does
Yes.
that mean? Are all my 10,000 steps not counted?
That's great. Doing 10,000 steps, that's great. But for people that are not yet reaching 10,000, don't have the 10,000 as a nightmare. If you're doing 4,000, that's great. What you can do is just speed up a little bit while doing the steps, or add like 200 and 300 steps. You know, Hiba, there's something that we always leave behind. We look at the physical, or the body, the physiological part. It's a model. It's an old model we used to call a biomedical model. Just looking at the physiological part, or the physical part. We need to look at it more as a biopsychosocial part. The biological,
What
physical.
does that mean?
We don't need to forget about the psychological part and the social part. So if you're doing 4,000 steps and 10,000, it seems like a nightmare because you work a lot, you don't have the time. This might demotivate you. Psychologically, it might work against you. Instead, we will tell our clients that, how about you just add 200 more steps if you could, or improve the speed of these tests, the steps. Now, also, we look at the social part, the social aspects. Sometimes people have a lot of people around them that they're not healthy and they're not active. And we need to see how we can help them have a better or a more efficient support system.
And how does that look like normally?
So normally, for example, when you're training at a gym, to have friends there where you can go out for runs, walks, social walks, anything that will introduce physical activity to your lifestyle. Because it's not just about if you can go to the gym or not. It's about psychologically if you enjoy what you're doing, so you keep on doing it without just going to the gym. Doing it at work, doing it, choosing to use the stairs instead of using the escalator. Having
it's like
friends.
a shift of the mindset mostly, rather than just you doing task by task. Like I went to the gym,
Absolutely.
it's done, I knocked it off.
Having it as part of your values. Even if you're traveling, you couldn't go to the gym. So you could still manage to do some planks, push-ups, go out for a walk. So you choose to include it in your system. This is where trainers play an important role while taking different aspects into account. Taking the psychological aspect, the social aspect, not just the physiological aspect while training a client. Now, shifting back to women. Now, this is a general recommendation for everyone. But why women are special here, or we need to pay extra attention? First of all, because they have lots of ups and downs in just 1 month. So there's the menses, there's the PMSing. And funny enough, so many people think of PMSing as it's something psychological and it doesn't really exist. Well, no, it does exist. And it's a hormonal shift, and it's different from one person to the other. Some people feel like training. Some people, they don't feel like training at all. As a trainer, I'm responsible to try to work it out with my client to find solutions. So we have a conversation. How do you feel usually 5 to 7 days? This is no longer a taboo. We should have these conversations.
And it shouldn't be something that is unified across all girls.
Absolutely.
Like this is something, yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. Like if you question 3 or 4 women, if they have exactly the same cycle, they don't. Theoretically, if we look at some research paper, and by the way, we still need a lot of research in that area, research says that, okay, the cycle is 28 days, but conduct a survey for 10 different subjects, 10 different women. And they will tell you that some of them, they're 30, 25, 24.
Depends.
So starting from there, starting from the basics, let's start by tracking. Ask your client to have her tracker, the monthly tracker, to understand if the cycle is 28, 24 days, and then start having conversations about the challenges throughout the cycle.
Patrick, should women approach exercise differently through the cycle, and how to do that?
Well, it's more of a general part. It's not like, you should not be doing a squat, you should be doing a deadlift. Not that specific, but it's more of the intensity, the effort, the load, these kind of things. Why? Because, like, for example, during PMSing, based on my experience, and if I look at research shows that a lot of women are comfortable exercising through PMSing. But if we just dig deep into the research, and when you recruit subjects to conduct these research, think of it this way. If you're promoting that you have a research, you want to conduct a research and you want to recruit subjects, and it's related to the menstrual cycle, specifically PMSing or menses, who would volunteer? The ones that have lots of challenges and difficulties. So there might be here in some papers some selection bias.
So true.
So that's why we need to look at as well, use our experience along with the evidence. And that's, by the way, the evidence-based practice model. It's the research and the expertise. So from my experience, you could see that a lot of women, they're not comfortable training during their PMS period. And if they are, some of them, they make the effort to change their mood. They like to do things that are light. If that's the case, my responsibility as their coach is to assist them how to modify their exercise plan to fit some light exercises, either decrease the weight, either introduce less taxing exercises. Like if they have on their program squats and deadlift, so how to introduce something less taxing, probably with machines or not. Now, again, that's not for everyone. Some athletes still push themselves even during PMSing, during the whole cycle. It depends. It depends from one person to the other.
And I think as well, it's very important for the coach or the trainer to be very supportive in those times, because at some point, as you said, maybe the intensity or the weight on those days might be so much heavier that sometimes it even happens to me on the normal weight where I stand before, let's say, the period. On the days of the period, for me, it's just so heavy. And I can't understand why. And sometimes it affects me mentally or psychologically, that what is happening? Why am I not able to lift half of what I used to lift before? And then this is where the trainer's importance come in, to say that it's totally fine. This is a biological
Absolutely.
phase. It's just for a couple of days, and you're gonna bounce off very quickly from
That's
this.
a good trainer, Hiba. That's not all trainers what they do, unfortunately, because so many trainers are like, no, it's psychological. Let's push hard. Let's do it. We can do it. We have a program. We have goals. So a good trainer would say, yeah, that's totally fine for now. We will make it better tomorrow. That's okay. So they try to motivate their clients, but eventually, if they've noticed that they don't feel comfortable doing it, immediately they would say, like, that's totally fine. Another thing is a trainer can use is something called the RPE scale, rate of perceived exertion, where you rate subjectively, how do you feel about the same weight? It's on a scale of 0 to 10. You could say it's a 5 to 10 today. Last time it was 3 to 10. It's okay. Well, because, we've noticed that during that period, you don't feel like increasing the weights. And one more thing I want to highlight here is the difference between the weight and the effort. So you can be using 10 kilograms, but putting a lot of effort, going through the almost failure, or just going before failure, or not reaching anything related to failure. So that's the effort. So are you pushing yourself till the end, or before that? Again, if you're not comfortable, that's something we should manage, the effort, not just the weight.
Patrick, when we're talking about resistance training and effort and, let's say, reaching failure, what is the right way to tackle resistance training? Because a lot of the ladies, and many of whom are watching, they don't know where to start, and they don't know what should they do exactly. So when you say resistance training is really important, what exactly are you talking about here?
Any form of exercise with resistance, whether it's weights, elastic bands, body weight suspended trainers.
So are we talking about weighted squats, for example, or
We
are
can
we
start
talking
with a
about
body weight
machines?
squat sometimes, because if they're beginners, they never tried to squat ever again. Just doing a squat is resistance training using their body weight. But the key thing in resistance training is gradual progression. So how you can progress gradually. Once a body weight squat after 1, 2, 3 weeks, it depends from one person to the other, becomes something easy, then you need to progress. Now, how to progress? You could include elastic bands, you can include some extra weights, a barbell, dumbbells. So that's the progression that needs to happen to keep on challenging the muscle, because the more you challenge the muscle, the stronger it gets.
This brings me to a very important point. Progressive overload. Everyone talks about progressive overload, and I personally want to always increase the weight that I'm lifting. When do we know that this is the right time for us to increase the weight? Do we always need to reach failure? And how many sets, how many reps? What is the science behind it? How, if I don't have a personal trainer, how do I look at it?
I want to look at two things here. First of all, each person have a different goal. Some of them want to bulk up, some of them want to get stronger. One thing I love lately that's happening is more women are participating in powerlifting or things that are similar, Olympic weightlifting, even high rocks, things like that. And it's amazing and it's incredible how to see more women participating in these sports. And there are, by the way, some Arab women that are reaching world competition, and they're actually winning world competition and setting new records. And this is great. So their goal is to get stronger. Others, their goal is to get probably to bulk up, to get more muscles. Some of them, they just want to be healthy. It really depends on the person's goal, availability, and then they start looking at if they want to reach failure. Reaching failure is something mainly we tackle for hypertrophy, bulking up. So if you want to bulk up, you don't have to reach failure, but you need to be somewhere there. Some people like to reach failure on most of their sets as long as you're able to recover, because it's a question of the stimulus you put and the recovery you do. If you put a lot of stimulus and you're not able to recover from that, you're not going to get results. So some stimulus that you can handle, good recovery, will get you bigger muscles. Now, for resistance training for strength, you need to increase the weight, but you don't have to reach failure on most of the occasions, because your main target is increasing the weight. If it's health and wellness, you need to be somewhere where feeling a little bit of effort. So I would say as a general recommendations for anyone who's listening and would like to start resistance training, let's get started with the basics. Sometimes great is the enemy of good, or just the basics. Just start. Just start with 1 day per week if you can, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, as much as you can. And that's totally fine. No one said that it has to be an hour 3 times minimum per week. As much as you can. If you have a busy schedule, start first of all, your target is to learn how to do the exercises, and most importantly, to enjoy it. Find something where you enjoy it. You enjoy whether the company, the trainer, the gym, you enjoy what you're doing, because it's something you're enjoying. You're more likely to do it more often.
True that. Sorry, but something that I experienced personally as well when I first joined WellFit in JVC. I told you I was just trying to recover from a depression or a depressing period. I was facing a lot of challenges, and the gym was the last place I wanted to be honest. And when I first joined, I was starting with a personal trainer, with Reese. And when he first met me, he wanted to discuss the goals, the body weight, the weight loss journey. And then I looked at him at some point and I said, look, I don't want to weight myself. And I don't want to do any weight loss program. I really don't care at this point. I am under so much pressure, and this is the least thing I want to do. And he just looked at me as a personal trainer and he said, okay, so what are we looking at? I said, I just want to come here to try to get my life together. I just need a constant in my life. And he told me, that's fine, let's work together towards that. And all what we did for around 6 months is for me to understand that when I'm entering the gym, it's somewhere I enjoy to be. And funny enough, it's such an underrated feeling. But when you walk into a place and you feel that you belong there, you always want to come back. And I feel that the gym is somewhere, and especially well fit, because of the community, because of how Reese tackled the issue. I want to always go to the gym, even if I have to just sit there and look at very amazing people or very strong people. And I started watching a lot of girls getting stronger. And I used to always tell Reese, look at her, like she's so strong. And I was like, yes, but she's showing up every single day. And he used to tell me, and it had a lot to do with my mental as well, because he used to tell me, sometimes she doesn't feel like coming here, but she would wake up in the morning and because it's on her schedule, she would show up. And so many times and so many days I showed up at the gym and the workout was a total flop. It was really bad. We had something on the program, and then when we started working out, I couldn't do it. And he was trying to shift it, to try to see how we can manage. And sometimes we had to change it totally. We had to go to take a decision and be like, look, today is not the day for a high rocks training. We would move and do something that we enjoy. And then he would tell me, just track how you're feeling. What happened? Is it mental? Is it physical? And we start having a conversation. And he used to always tell me, it's not about the intensity in your workout. It's about you showing up disregarding what was happening. It's about you waking up feeling that you didn't really want to go, but you went anyway. And when this happens, it shifted my perspective and my mind towards the gym, where I no longer see it as something like, oh, today I'm going to the gym. I go to the gym and I wake up in the morning, and even on my bad days, I go like, I could have been sleeping, but I'm here. And even on those days and the sessions where it's a total flop, I start, sometimes it affects me even mentally and psychologically, that I look at him and I go like seriously this weight? And then he would look at me and he was like, but you're doing it. You could have been not here. But it's already, he always says, no workout is a bad workout. And when you start shifting your mindset and looking at it like this, no workout is a bad workout, even if I go and walk and get my steps there. And this also started to reflect on my conversations with everyone around me, that I started always looking at the positives. Like they come and they tell me, yeah, but you're doing amazing things. When we go to the gym, we cannot do this. And I go like, who told you that I started like that? Just go walk, go do incline walks, go do, Stairmaster. 3 minutes, it's great. You lasted 3 minutes. Stop, have a rest, and then start again for another 3 minutes. And I think that we lack a lot of positive talks to everyone who is trying to get their life together.
Absolutely. We lack positive talks and we lack proper coaching. So that I'm not sure if I could say that you're lucky, you had a real good coach or what, but that's good coaching. When they understand your fitness level, your fitness needs, and they know how to encourage you, and most importantly, celebrate the small wins. Like, look at that, you're doing it. You're being able to lift this weight, celebrating, acknowledging these things. This would really help. And we need more awareness about that to push more people to be physically active. Because guess what? We have an issue right now. It's more of an epidemic, physical inactivity. So many people are physically inactive, are not reaching the bare minimum of the global guidelines on physical activity.
And one of the very important videos that are on, I love it. I personally love this video that is on your page. It's about the body shaming that we go through. And I love that because when I listened to it, it was really hitting deep, because when I first started my fitness journey, I didn't want to be in the gym. I felt like no matter what I wore, I looked really horrible in it, because I was looking at everyone else. Everyone was so fit. I didn't know what to do. I didn't know how I looked while doing it, because I didn't know proper techniques. And all what I was thinking about, like, what will people say if they see me doing this? And even when I was choosing my workout clothes, for me, they didn't look good on me. And we really, really lack that positive talks, specifically when people are trying to get better at what they do. So when I watched your video, it was really hitting deep. So what got you to talk about body shaming specifically?
Well, absolutely. I was body shamed so many times. Like fitness journey, anyone knows that it's not a straight line. It's really challenging for you to be fit 365 days. If it works for some people, that's great, congratulations. But it doesn't work for everyone. Some people have their own schedule, their own life, their own challenges, and their own battles. I had my own battles, and for a period of time, I was not in shape. I was struggling to get back in shape, and it was, with all the battles, psychological and the work schedule and all of that. And especially I work in the fitness industry. I know it's really bad for you. You get questions, why don't you practice what you preach? Well, they don't know what's behind that. They don't know the struggles you're going through. It's easy for people to judge. There was one time where I was filming a video, and that particular time I was recovering from a chronic depression. I was exercising. I was doing a great job. I lost 9 kilograms. I was eating healthy, training, things were great. And I filmed a video that is marketing related to promote my company, and hundreds of comments. And unfortunately, so many of these comments are from people, they call themselves personal trainers, body shaming and using the worst language ever. So I was thinking that, well, I was battling a chronic depression. And if you know, chronic depression could lead to suicide. And so many people addressed that they said that I've reached suicide from people's commenting on my page. Like famous people or influencers, they've mentioned that, you attack behind the screen, but you don't know the amount of damage you do for someone else. And also, some of my surrounding, whenever they started giving me comments, oh, you've lost weight, you gained weight, commenting on my physical shape. Sometimes I want to bulk up, and people saying that, oh, you've lost weight. And that's really devastating. So I was like, I need to talk about that, because some people have chronic disease. Some people have cardiovascular issues. Some people are diabetic, and they're really struggling. And for you, it's very easy just to go out there and type a comment on their Instagram page thinking that you're funny or you're just throwing hate, and that's fine. And because no one is replying back, that's totally okay. So I've had this video telling people, just mind your own business. There are many other things you can comment on instead of just looking and monitoring people's shape and talking about it, because sometimes it's really challenging. People might be going through some challenging and difficult timing. If you want to do something positive, just reach out to people and, just say hello, say if they need any help, they need any support, or just don't say anything at all.
Exactly. And specifically, it's not only on comments, it's live comments as well. So things that we have this issue in our society that every time you see someone, you need to comment on their body. You lost weight or you gained weight. And when you start shifting that perspective, you start looking at really nice things to compliment that person, disregarding or not related to their body. And you start discovering that this person looks fresh today, their eyes are glowing. What did you change in your style? You look really nice today. And it shifts the whole perspective of that person as well.
Absolutely.
Patrick, what is the importance of muscle mass and muscle building specifically for ladies? Since you spoke as well about a lot about menopause and premenopause, and the percentage of women losing muscle mass as they age. I always hear that they start losing it very fast and it decreases a lot year on year. So how can we do this? How can we maintain it? And what is the importance of women building muscle?
Right. So in general, first of all, building muscle is very important for everyone. Why specifically more? It's more important for women because men have the testosterone hormone that helps recover and build muscles. Women, they don't have the same hormone, so they are encouraged to work on improving their muscles, and they can improve their muscles. They can strengthen their muscles. First of all, for their daily life activities, it feels much smoother. They can be more independent. They can protect themselves. They can protect their joints, their bones, and they have better physical and fitness shape. Now, if we look at challenges such as menopause, what happened through menopause, by the way, there's a period that it's just 1 year before the actual menopause. It's the pre and perimenopause. So it's when the period starts going on for 3 months, off for 1 month or 2 months. So when we're getting there, this is when the body is not producing one of the essential derivatives of estrogen. It's a part of the estrogen family, and this hormone have a lot to do with the metabolism. So when this happens, recovery is affected. So many things are affected. Now, I don't want to scare anyone. Fear mongering is not something I do. It happens throughout the years. It doesn't happen suddenly during menopause. Like when they reach menopause, they're not going to recover. They're not going to build muscles. No, that's not true. But eventually it will happen throughout menopause and after menopause. The best thing to do here is resistance training, to strengthen their muscles, to build their muscles, to improve their metabolism and improve many other things.
Patrick, about the muscle memory, everyone discusses about muscle memory. Is that the same for females? And what does that mean?
Yes, it's for everyone. Once we exercise, we reach a certain level. Guess what? We've learned how to manage the exercise, how to perform the exercise, how to move our joints while doing this exercise. So if you've learned how to squat when you're 18 years old and you've squatted for like 6 months and then you stop, your body somewhere still remember how to manage this exercise. If your muscles improve to a certain level, so physiologically they can go back there if you go back to training faster than the ones that never trained before. Because if I never trained before, first of all, I want to learn the exercise. I want to understand how to do this exercise, and my muscles are going to start improving. So yes, that's true for both, for men and for women. You can, if you stopped for a while, definitely that's not to encourage anyone to stop, but if you had to reduce or stop for a while, when you go back, you will develop much faster than if it's your first time.
And if a girl was fit or she was training as part of her lifestyle heavily, let's say, and how does it work during pregnancy? And would the body be able to snap back to the gains, let's say, or her level of fitness after pregnancy? Can you take me through that? And is it true that you cannot exercise properly when you're pregnant? And what type of exercises actually work?
Great. So let me just walk you through what happened through research and guidelines briefly. That was a guideline stated that if you're pregnant, you should just walk. Or you should stop doing resistance training or any other activity, just walking, light walking. And at least it's better to continue doing so for the first 3 months. And then after that, you could go back to some classes or things like that. That was a guideline back in 1984. Unfortunately, some people still follow this guideline. Now in 2020 and 2019, new guidelines were published, a lot of research got published, and now it's allowed to do experiments on pregnant women in their 3rd trimester doing resistance training. So we also expect to understand a lot of more new things and to have more data on so many topics. First of all, we need to understand that pregnancy is not sickness. So she's pregnant, she's not sick, meaning
I love this.
that she doesn't have to stop doing anything. When she first discovered that she's pregnant, now, by the way, I always tell my coaches or clients that pregnancy, it's better for you to plan pregnancy. It's on so many levels, it's very important, psychological, social, and even physical. So if you can plan that, okay, I want to work on getting pregnant in that phase. So I want to make sure that I want to strengthen my body, do cardio, start doing these things to prepare for a healthy pregnancy. Also, some vitamins and nutrients, you need to start consuming them before pregnancy, such as the folic acid. It's better to start consuming it before you get pregnant. So in case it's not, when you discover you're pregnant, first of all, you need to observe your mood and energy levels. That's it. There's nothing you need to change, because the baby is still just a bunch of cells. It's still really small. Nothing is changing physiologically in your body that requires to stop doing exercise or resistance training. It's just the morning sickness, the fatigue, the energy levels. As long that's fine, and we can allocate some time for you to train and you're comfortable. That's not me. These are the recommendations out there, whether from the American College of Obstetricians and Gynecologists or the ACSM. You can keep on doing exactly what you do, and whenever you feel like reducing the intensity, you could do that. Now, some athletes and some pregnant women kept on training with exactly the same intensity throughout their pregnancy. They were able to do that. They enjoyed doing so. It's up to them. However, if you don't feel like maintaining the same intensity, your energy level will drop. You need to reduce.
So this is more specific for certain women who they don't have the energy level, but in terms of biologically or physiologically, it's totally fine to work out. So it's more of increasing or decreasing the weight, but as a movement, it's totally fine to move throughout.
Absolutely, but I just want to highlight something very important here. We're talking about healthy pregnancies. Now, that doesn't mean pregnancies with some challenges, they must not work out. It's a case-by-case approach. Since I'm not a medical doctor or gynecologist, it's outside my scope of practice to mention who can or who cannot train whenever they have challenges. For us as coaches or exercise professionals, we are allowed, it's within our scope of practice to work with people that are healthy and they don't have other challenges, or they have a medical clearance. So in healthy pregnancies, they can continue doing their regular routine, resistance training, lifting heavy. Modification can start in the mid and second trimester along the third. And I said modification. It means that if you're not comfortable squatting since the belly is showing now, you might go for a bit wider squat. You might use an assisted squat. You might modify a couple of exercises, but still you need to exercise. You still need to do resistance training, cardio, and other things that you do. Now, things to consider that becomes different for a pregnant woman throughout the second and third trimester is avoiding things that takes the muscles to an overstretched position because of, a lot of secretion of the hormone relaxin and progesterone that might get you in an overstretched phase easily. The blood sugar might drop a bit faster than non-pregnant, so make sure to observe whenever you're doing cardio or endurance or things that might drop your blood sugar, to do it gradually and observe how your body is reacting to that, and always have a snack with you, making sure you're comfortable with the exercise and with training. And do not refrain on doing abs workout. That's totally fine. Yes. Train your muscles equally. Find the position that you're comfortable doing it. Some people claim that, pregnant women might have diastasis recti, which is the separation of their rectus abdominis or the main abdominals. True, there's a high risk, but abs exercise have nothing to do with that, because they can still strengthen the muscles. They can still protect. Now, prevent 100%. They might not prevent, but they would not do anything as it will ruin their abs or anything like that. And that's based on not just review papers, it's based on experiments as well. Even after pregnancy, they tried to do lots of abs workout through pregnancy, after pregnancy, and checked if this will negatively affect pregnant women, and it didn't show. It showed that it's safe for pregnant women to do so. Again, as long they have a medical clearance to exercise.
Yeah, for sure. And would that help as well women recover, or let's say get back their gains after pregnancy, because it's really nice and it's so heartwarming, honestly, to see a lot of ladies who worked out through their pregnancies. One of whom I was following as well, she's an elite high rocks champion, and she did a whole high rocks championship from the Elite 15 while she was pregnant. And it was so nice to see that, as you said, it's not a disease, it's not a sickness, it's not my life is over and I'll be able to bounce back to my gains or even maintain gains through the pregnancy. So working out or making sure that you're still active, would that help as well for the body to go back to its initial state? And would the body go back to initial state or before pregnancy state, let's say after pregnancy?
Sure. So first of all, after pregnancy, there's a certain phase of recovery for us to get back to training. Now, and it really depends on so many factors. Definitely, there's a major factor, which is how the delivery happened, if it was a C-section or normal delivery, and if there were any complication. Besides from that, when the doctor wants to give the green light for the woman to go back to training, some factors like have a solid impact, such as if you were fit before getting pregnant and throughout your pregnancy, that will affect your recovery. Another thing is the muscle memory. So if you used to train, even if you had to stop for a while, you get back to training, you would recover much faster. Something very important to highlight, getting back to training is very important to have someone who covered some courses or workshops on postpartum period, because there is a risk of organ prolapse, complications. So you need to start first by training the pelvic floor muscles, gradually getting her on track and gradually doing the exercises and progressing from
Patrick,
there.
when we're talking postpartum, what is the time? Because is it true that she cannot work out until after like 1 month and a half, 40 days, or even 2 months?
It really depends. Some of them, they're clear to get back to exercise in a week. Normal delivery, no complications, they were fit, they're ready to do it. They can start doing light walking, some pelvic floor muscle training, and they start progressing from there. For a C-section, it might be 3 weeks, 1 month, because there need to be a full healing for the scar. And there has to be a green light from the doctor before getting back to training. And definitely there's something that we don't always discuss, is the social part and the psychological part. So if she could really manage to go to training, and that's very important here. And unfortunately, so many times the mom have to handle so many things and stop working and all of that. So that's why it has to be planned. And she need to keep the workout part of the plan even after delivery.
Unfortunately, we need to wrap this episode. It was such a pleasure to have you. Thank you again, Patrick, for your time. And thank you for all the data and the information that you shared with me today. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next episode. The most powerful stories come from the ones we see every day. Not every journey is loud. Some are quiet, raw, and still changing lives. This is Unformed, where real stories unfold.